guys, welcome back to a brand new episode. Here he comes. Hello, big mans. Hi. So, thank you once again for everyone's well wishes, everything. It truly does mean the world to us. And yeah, just thank you guys so much, truly. But for today's video, we are diving on into now. I thought this was a newer movie. I guess I was wrong. New to me. It popped up on my Prime video list a while back, and I kind of forgot about it. And then I came across it again because the price got discounted. So I was like, maybe I'll have to check it out. Just the trailer alone gave me really campy vibes. So I was here for that, and I was down for just kind of the B movie of it all. But y'all know I don't love a romance movie, especially horror romance. But this one's good. This one's really good. I highly recommend checking it out. I did watch some other movies while I was on break, so we will dive into that. We just, need to get caught up a little bit. But it's really just a sweet and endearing movie. I ended up liking it a lot more than I thought I would. It definitely probably is not for everyone, but I think it's good, and it's got some real heart and bite to it. So, yeah, there's not much information you can find about this movie online. It is a pretty small movie, but I think it's a hidden gem. So, yeah, let's just dive on into it, guys. So, Cannibal Mukbang, released in 2023, was directed and written and produced by Amy Keeg, and then the production company was Melty Media, and the distributor was Jackrabbit Media. Now, I think I've seen some Jackrabbit films before, but off the top of my head, I just couldn't really list any for you. But diving on in, shy and looking for love, Mark quickly becomes smitten with the outgoing and mysterious Ash, who somehow, much to his surprise, reciprocates the attraction. As his feelings for her intensify, so does his unexpected subversion into Ash's biggest love, the wild world of Mukbang, and with it, lots of bloodshed.
I only kill the ones that get away with doing horrible things to innocent people.
April Consolo plays Ash. Listen, I'm just gonna say it. She looks a lot like Chapel Roan. So, vibe. Nat Weiss is Mark, and Clay Von Karlowitz is Maverick, Mark's brother. So, yeah, like I said, not much about it online, but I do really just love the characters in this movie, except for Maverick. He's, yeah, not the best character. I understand, the role that he plays and showing Mark's kind of hypocrisy, I guess, about it all. But I just don't like his character. His character is very stereotypical, just douche. Mark's character, though, is so sweet. I mean, both him and Ash have, their issues.
I was, in a car accident when I was a kid.
Of course I hit the guy with brain damage.
I really just love the dynamic of their characters. He knows pretty early on that he would do just about anything for this girl. After their first meeting and hanging out at her place,
Nothing a little therapy and booze can't fix.
He has a very kind of surreal dream about her and how he would devote himself to her basically in any capacity, literally cutting off his nose to give it to her. And you get a lot of really intense, really intimate scenes, but not like that. There's one sex scene and it does not go the way that you think it would, further kind of showing Mark's insecurities and trauma as well as Ash's. But in those first few really intimate scenes that we get with them where they're just sitting and talking to each other, it's really sweet, and the chemistry between them just really works. I also think the writing in this movie is really well done. The dialogue between characters, I know it is a smaller movie, but it really kind of hits the tens on a lot of points for me, even though it's a small production. But going into like how, because Ash, we're going to get into spoilers on this. Ash is a cannibal. She kills men that want to hurt women, go out to hurt women. So she like specifically lures them in and then eats them. And Mark ends up helping her, and it's kind of like bi boyfriend realness. Like, she converted him into a cannibal as well. We see that Mark can no longer eat just regular meat. It has to be human flesh, and how he's just so willing to help her in all of this, and to consume these men with her in the name of like her kind of vigilante justice. Because we also find out Ash and her sister, who passed, were kidnapped and like held in a cage by this creepy guy, and he ended up killing her sister and feeding her to Ash. So that's now why Ash does what she does. It's kind of like, revenge storyline mixed with cannibal holocaust a little bit. But Mark isn't like, he really isn't your typical guy, and that's really established early on. It's Mark who is really hesitant to make things physical with Ash, and she reads that as like certain things, like he's not into her, or there's just some kind of block there for him. And it also feeds her own insecurities of like wanting to be loved, but at the same time being so like fierce and monstrous that it pushes a lot of people away. I mean, that she's killing them, but, and like, we see how nothing really scares Ash except her insecurities that are brought up with her relationship with Mark. It's a very interesting dynamic, and it doesn't set it up in really a black or white way, which is why I enjoy this movie and why I will allow like this romance one to really slip through the cracks. Y'all know I don't really like romance. It works. It shows the complexity of the characters. They're not just like lovey-dovey, They have real depth to them. It almost feels kind of like a queer relationship. I don't want to project that onto it, but like there's just so many more complexities in this relationship that you don't normally see in like heteronormative romantic movies. So I appreciate it for that. It's also not a happy ending, to be fair. We see eventually that Ash's own wants and desires mixed with Mark's wants and desires for Ash ultimately lead them to an end, and Ash does what Ash does, and her love, just like her hatred, ultimately consumes the men in her life. I'm not saying that necessarily as a bad thing for Ash. She's a very strong character, and I just love that archetype, especially the archetype that we find in these revenge movies. Not that I enjoy that, like, these women have to go through something traumatic and then flip the power around, but it's just nice to see characters reclaiming their power. And there's a lot of conversations, I think, about heteronormativity, about just dating in general, but also about consumption, media consumption of like sex and whatnot, and how that pushes our own urges or wants in these relationships. It's a very complex yet really simple movie, and I highly, highly recommend it. We're not going to go too in depth, just because it's just kind of like one of those little schlock B movies. That's the style that it's made in, and it very quickly is recognizable, kind of like the camp factor to this movie. It's very referential to like 80s B movies. I enjoy that vibe. I guess more when it's referenced, not necessarily the actual movies that came from that time period. But it's playing into that. It's playing into like exploitation filmmaking. I love to see it taken and portrayed through a different perspective. Those movies typically are not done by women, typically does not focus on women or their own struggle within horror or society. But this movie does. Granted, it is a female director. So, I'm just glad to see it. I'm glad that I watched it. I think everyone should check it out if it's your thing. It's got some good kills in there, but it's not overly gory. There's a lot of organ meat. Other than that, like, you're pretty good. You're pretty good. Let's just remember it's a lower budget, so they can't do too much. But I highly recommend checking it out. Now, like I said, I bought it off of Amazon. I don't know if you can view it or stream it somewhere else. I'll check. But yeah, I know this one's a little random, a little kind of out there. I definitely don't think it's going to be for everyone. It's a very kind of stylized movie. So, like, if even just visually it's not your style, I get it. I think it's worth the chance. I really do. Just like, yeah, fair warning, Maverick is like really gross. Really gross. And she ends up luring him back, and we find out that he is one of these terrible men also. Mark, the whole movie was like, well, my brother, he's a little, but he's not terrible. He's not like those guys. And then we find out, yeah, no, he is. And Mark is willing to protect his brother and hurt Ash in order to save him, and that ultimately gets Mark killed as well, because Ash finds out that he really is no better than his brother. But it's a complicated movie. It's a complicated narrative and characters, and I really appreciate it for that. I don't think there's kind of a black and white good or bad guy in the situation in terms of just Ash and Mark and their relationship. I think we're given such a solid bad guy to hate, being Maverick and all the other men, that like it really puts Mark into such stark contrast. But yeah, I want to know your thoughts, guys. I want to know your thoughts. Like I said, I think it's worth a watch. I don't know, like a fun Friday night kind of movie thing. It's good for a date night, I'll say that. It's cute. It's cute, and it's like a little badass, so. But yeah, highly recommend checking it out. Now, I do want to give a heads up just for this upcoming week. Wednesday, we're continuing with Final Destination because I want to get that series done with. Oh my god. And then I also, so it's not going to be this Friday because, as you guys know, with everything going on, a lot of stuff just got pushed back, a lot of research mainly. But I did buy, if you remember, I talked about it. It comes in a VHS tape case. Love that. But it's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre fragrance. It's unisex, so it's not a cologne or perfume, just fragrance. So we'll talk about this on Friday, I guess, just as like a little random video. I need to get caught up. But thank you so much once again, guys. I hope everyone's taking care of themselves. The past couple of weeks have been a little hectic, but I really do appreciate y'all, your patience, and continuing to support the channel, even while I was away. It truly means the world to us, you guys. And I'm not good at expressing that, especially of such magnitude. So thank you guys deeply. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day, a great rest of their week. I'll catch you on Wednesday. And yeah, just hope everyone takes care of themselves. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.
I don't know about you. I'm starving.